Welcome to the Owatonna Today Show. I'm your host, Francy Hall. We are your community connection. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be speaking with the Monarch Lady, and after that we're going to be talking about Light the Path, the annual fundraiser for the Children's Orphanage Museum. We want you to know that if you have ideas for future shows, please let us know. You can contact us on Facebook or you can email us at owatonnatoday@charter.net. We'd love to have your interesting topics on our show. Do stick with us. After a word from our sponsors, we'll be right back with the Butterfly Lady.
Hi, I'm Dr. Beth Giltvet.
And I'm Dr. Nick Vincelli of Horizon Eye Care.
We want you to see what you love and love how you see. We're proud sponsors of the Owatonna Today Show.
I needed more than just another dead-end job. I wanted a career, so I expressed myself.
With the kids off to college, I decided it was time for me to go back to work and express myself.
Express got me in touch with some really great companies. Now, I'm on my way to a great career.
Express Employment Professionals is in contact with thousands of companies in need of quality employees. Come in now and get the job you deserve.
Express yourself today.
Welcome back. We're here with Kathy Ommeren. You may know her from Clifton, Larson, and Allen as a tax preparer, but we know her as the Butterfly Lady, and she is here with us today. Kathy is here with soon-to-be monarchs, we hope. Is that right, Kathy?
Yes, that's correct.
Kathy, tell us a little bit about, for the people who don't know, what is it that you do with the butterflies?
Well, this is my 14th summer. And I go out usually out in the country to the ditches, and the monarchs, they only lay their eggs on milkweed because that's the only plant that the caterpillars will eat.
They're very choosy.
Yes, they're very choosy. There are several kinds of milkweed, but they'll only eat milkweed. So I go out in the country, usually in the ditch, and check the milkweed and look for the eggs. And then when I find the egg, usually it's on the bottom side of the leaf, I will take that leaf off and take it home, and then I raise the egg. The eggs will hatch, and then I'll raise the caterpillars.
And how did you get into this? I mean, so you're walking around ditches here in Owatonna looking for milkweed to find little eggs, and then you take them home. So you are the monarch thief of Owatonna.
Yes.
Is that no? So
Yes.
how did you get started doing this?
Well, I have two boys that are in college now, but when they were younger, they were interested in bugs, and so we used to do that when they were younger. And since then, they're not that interested anymore, but it kind of became an obsession with me. So I'm still doing it. So this is my 14th summer.
Did you know what you were doing at the time when you had to know where to find them and everything? How did you figure out how to do this?
Well, I did a little research, and I knew that they were only on milkweed. They would only be on milkweed. So I just started checking the milkweed and figured out that that's where they were. So
ever since then, did you say 14 years?
Yes.
14 years you've been collecting these. Before we get into what we've got here, I don't know, Leanne, but we will show you eventually that we've got multiple stages before they become the actual monarch butterfly. So we'll talk about those. Well, why don't we do that? So we've got, I don't know if we can see these.
Yes.
There's some
First
tiny.
of all, what does the egg look like?
Yes.
Yes,
well,
I don't have any eggs right now because they are actually pretty much finished laying eggs because they're starting to migrate now.
Okay.
So the eggs are just a small little yellow ball type thing on the bottom side of the leaf usually.
Does it look like a little, how big is it?
It's about the size of like the period when you're reading a book.
Oh,
it's
my
about
goodness.
that size, maybe a little larger, and it's kind of yellowish white. And they just lay one. They just lay one egg here and there. It's not like a clump of eggs. So when you look on the back side of the leaf, it's pretty easy to see it because it's right there by itself.
Oh my goodness.
And then the egg hatches in about 3 days, and the tiny caterpillar emerges. And then all it does is eat and eat and eat for like 2 weeks. and then it becomes a large caterpillar.
Like this
Like
little
this
guy
one.
whose antennas, he was just moving his antennas around, and that was really neat. Can we see him? Wait, you're moving him
Yes.
off camera here.
Oh, sorry.
I think, there we go.
Yeah, and it only takes 2 weeks to become that big.
Wow, you're a 2-week-old fatty compared to, let's pick up the smallest little one and see, well, I don't know if we can even see it.
This one.
Get there, wait, okay, so he's
I barely
right there. You see that? And so, how old is this little guy?
He's probably 3 or 4 days.
3 days old
Probably
and
3.
2 weeks old? That's a big
Yes.
difference. That is, no wonder he eats a ton, huh? And this is what? This is milkweed?
This is milkweed.
So
yes.
this is, so they eat
And-
the leaf.
Yes. Their preferred milkweed is the common milkweed, but there's also swamp milkweed that they'll eat that some people might like to put in their gardens. The common milkweed is not as, people don't like that as much.
But you might like it, people, and the butterflies like it, so get the common milkweed. I think I have some of that in my yard, actually. So this is the 2-week-old, and what you're going to show us here.
And then after it's finished eating, it starts crawling around and looking for a place to make its chrysalis. And it spins a bunch of silk, and it hangs. It has a little tiny hook in its rear end. And then it hangs from the silk. And then after about a day, the caterpillar sheds its skin. And then what's inside the skin is the chrysalis.
Isn't that amazing? So inside this guy is this.
Well, yes, after
kind
he
of.
sheds the skin.
After he sheds his
yes.
skin. What? There's like a little line up here. What is that?
Yes, and there's gold. They don't really know for sure what that is.
Can you guys see that? It's a gold color. Wow, that is. We don't know what. Obviously, it serves a purpose, but we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And then you can kind of see the wings forming in there. And then I have this other, and then it's about 12 days, 10 to 14 days before the butterfly emerges from the chrysalis. This one should be emerging today, but you can see actually see the butterfly in there.
It's hard to tell with this lighting, but up close with your naked eye, you can actually see the coloration of a little butterfly in there. And so, 2 days old. How many weeks old is this? 3, 4?
This is about a month from the egg.
Okay.
It's a
Wow.
month from the egg to the butterfly.
And the butterfly only lays 1 egg.
Well, no, they just lay one here and one
okay.
there, but actually a butterfly, I've heard, can lay up to 700 eggs.
Oh, wow, okay.
But out in the wild, only about 10% of the eggs make it to a butterfly, so there will be only 70 butterflies.
That's a lot of work. So let me ask you this: do the butterflies pollinate the milkweed?
I don't think so. They just drink the nectar from the flowers.
They drink. Okay, so that's why they like the milkweed. They drink it and then they
Right. They like the
lay their
flower, but
eggs.
also because that's the only thing the caterpillars will eat, so they need the milkweed.
The milkweed leaf makes the caterpillars taste bad, right?
Yes, the milkweed is toxic, so if a bird tries to eat a caterpillar, it will get sick. It won't die, but it will get sick, so then maybe it won't eat another one.
Thank you, Leanne. So Leanne is obviously, she's a naturalist as well as a birder, and so she knows a lot about this too. Thanks, Leanne. So the milkweed makes them taste yucky and the birds can get sick from eating them.
Right.
Well, it's kind of too late after they've eaten them, but maybe after they eat a few, they figure it out. The butterfly, what role does the butterfly serve?
Well, the butterflies, they do pollinate some type of plants, and also they are just, they bring a lot of joy to people.
Yes, they're beautiful.
Yes. And so they do migrate to Mexico in the wintertime, and they come back to Minnesota about the end of May. They leave the trees in Mexico about February, and then those butterflies go to Texas. They will lay eggs and die, and then those eggs will come further north. They will, turn into butterflies, and they'll come further north. And then they make it to Minnesota about the end of May. It's about the 3rd generation.
So a butterfly that is coming from Mexico doesn't make it to Minnesota. The butterfly,
No.
kind of hops along each stage and dies, and more are born, and they
Right.
travel, and then they die, and then they
Right.
birth more. And okay, so we've got great
Yes.
grandbabies of the Mexico monarchs.
Right.
Is that okay? For some reason I always thought they completely migrated. I thought that was
No.
pretty difficult.
They
Okay.
do completely migrate on the way down, though. The ones from here
Will make it
go all the way to Mexico.
Now, how is that? Is it the jet stream, or how do they get there?
They do catch air currents.
Okay.
They don't flap their wings the whole time, but they do catch air currents, and then they go down there. And there's hundreds of millions of butterflies that are hanging on the trees in Mexico, although there's not as many as there used to be.
That's what I was going to ask you is we know that the bee population has really taken a hit, and they are pollinators. The butterflies are pollinators, and so what is their population looking like right now? How healthy are they?
Well, in '96 they had a lot, a very large population, but since then it's gone down quite a bit. But
do you know any like the kind of numbers at all on
Down
that?
80%.
I think
80?
maybe 30 million or something. I'm not sure. Of
So
the
Leanne
exact
just
number.
said 80%.
Yes, they're down from '96, but that was like a bumper crop year.
Okay.
So
From 1996 to now
96, yes.
is like 20 years. They're down about 80%. You said there's about 35 million.
I think so, but there are a couple websites, monarchwatch.org and monarchjointventure.org, that has a lot of information about the monarchs.
Okay.
So
What's being done to, help these monarchs grow and return to a more healthy number?
well, there are some initiatives going on, and there's a big initiative now for people to plant more milkweed. Like I said, the swamp milkweed is a good one.
Common milkweed is their
Common
favorite.
milkweed. There's also butterfly weed, which is not as much of a favorite to them as the common and the swamp milkweed.
Okay.
But if people would just plant milkweed, that would be great.
So how can we get involved in planting milkweed? Certainly on our own, but want to say those websites? It looks like we've got them up online. monarchjointventure.org and monarch.org. And that can tell you about milkweed and the caterpillars and the butterflies. And where are we planting this milkweed?
Anywhere in your yard, if some people have extra, land that they're not using, they could plant it there. The best thing to do is to actually get the plants, because the seeds are kind of hard to propagate.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay. Well, and so it's all along Highway 35, the 35 corridor all the way down to Mexico. They're doing this.
That's what
Yes,
they like to do.
okay.
Yes.
Well, if you would like to be a part of it, please do visit monarchjointventure.org or monarch.org. Thank you so much, Kathy, for being here. We appreciate it. And I hope this little guy comes out today. All right. Thank you for joining us. We will be right back with Light the Path, talking about the annual fundraiser for the Owatonna Orphanage. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Kim Schaffenbuhl, Director of United Way of Steele County. I invite you to live united by giving, advocating, and volunteering to ensure that the building blocks of a good quality of life, education, income, and health are strong and stable in our community. We all have a stake in creating a healthy, prosperous community. We all win when children succeed in school, workers have steady jobs, and families have good health. United Way of Steele County is working to make this happen, and we can't do it without your help. Please give generously to this year's campaign.
The River Springs Water Park at 3065 St. Paul Road is open for the summer. Come with family and friends to enjoy the many features the water park has to offer. Open swim hours are listed on the screen. For more information on daily specials, programs, and large group packages, visit our website, call the water park at 774-7370, or find them on the River Springs Water Park Facebook page. Make a big splash this summer at the River Springs Water Park.
Hi, I'm Ron Clancher with Clancher & Son Landscaping and Concrete. We support the Owatonna Today Show, and so should you.
Amy Swain Hearing Centers is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show. I'm Dr. Amy Swain, and I want everyone to hear better.
Hi, I'm Brenda with the Mortgage Office of Brenda Bednar, aligned with American Mortgage and Equity Consultants, where closings feel right from the beginning. I'm a proud supporter of the Owatonna Today Show.
I'm Deb Gillard. And I'm Shawn McNulty with Brookdale Owatonna Senior Living Solutions. We are assisted living and Alzheimer's and dementia care communities here in Owatonna, and formerly known as Clare Bridge and Sterling House. And we are proud sponsors of the Owatonna Today Show.
Welcome back. We are joined now by Anne Peterson and Barry Adams from the Minnesota State Public Schools Orphanage Museum. And we're talking about Light the Path?
Lighting the Path.
Lighting the Path, which is your?
It's our annual fundraiser for our Legacy Fund, but it's also an annual opportunity to remember the lives of all the children that were here at the state school. There were 10,635 children that came through the state system in the 60 years that the state school was in operation here in Owatonna.
So we want to remember them, and we also want to fund the ability to continue that remembrance and having this wonderful museum in our community.
That is the intention. But I think, you know, the money is almost secondary. It is, but it isn't. But we really want to invite people to come to the event. It's a free event. There's no obligation. We're not going to be passing the hat or anything. But if they would like to purchase a luminary in memory or in honor of someone, those will be on sale that evening at 6 o'clock. The event itself starts at 7 p.m. and also they'll be on sale at Cottage 11 in the afternoons from 1 until 4.
Okay, and that's a lot of information.
Yeah.
So,
it's on our site
we'll
too.
remind you of that later in the show too. And you know, Anne, before we continue, let's let everybody know who you are, and also we'll introduce Barry as well, so everybody knows who we're talking to here.
I'm the museum director at the Orphanage Museum, and Barry Adams is sort of a local historian of some repute here, and he is going to be giving a presentation down at the cemetery at the conclusion of our event. That's sort of the climax of the event, is a special ceremony down by the cemetery.
By the cemetery.
So the path will light on down there.
So the path is from where to the? It's down to the cemetery.
The gymnasium and then down around by the root cellar and down the boardwalk path, and we'll end down at the cemetery.
So this is a walking tour of sorts.
Of sorts.
So we'll go and view all and hear more about all of those locations.
Correct.
And it will culminate with Barry's presentation in the cemetery. Correct. Is that right?
Right, yes.
Okay. So, Anne, you're the director.
Yes.
So we've hopefully you all know Anne. She's been on the show quite a few times. But Barry, are you new to the show? Have we had you on before?
I'm new to the show.
You are new to the show. And how long have you been involved with the Orphanage Museum?
My wife and I moved to Owatonna in 2008. So 2008 I got connected with the Orphanage Museum and had volunteered from time to time with them, but my special interest at the museum by happenstance became the 198 youngsters who are buried in the cemetery here on the property.
And so you have been very involved with the Orphanage Museum since you came to town.
Yeah, I was
right
trained
involved.
as a guide here and spent my time in the museum and doing some of the research. So.
Have you done research like this before? Historical research?
That's all I do in my life.
That's all you do in your life. So was that your career prior to moving here?
Prior to moving to Minnesota, I was a public school teacher. I was a school administrator for a while, but my second career was more directly connected to history. I worked for the National Park Service at Gettysburg. I was a historian there.
You were a historian at Gettysburg.
Yes.
And here you are in our little town. And now you're going to be giving a tour of the cemetery. That sounds like a worthwhile visit. So what are we going to learn from you at the cemetery?
Well, it's a really unusual cemetery to begin with. I may have visited 1,000 cemeteries in my life, and this one's different. This is a cemetery that's a state cemetery. At the time it was operating, it was being operated by the state of Minnesota, and it's a cemetery that's a children's cemetery. And it's a cemetery that had fallen into disrepair until a lot of volunteers from Owatonna and Steele County both chipped in financially and volunteered with a lot of time to restore the cemetery, to honor the youngsters who were buried there.
And you have information about a lot of, well, the youngsters that are buried there, and we're going to learn a little bit about them.
We have a lot of information about all of them, and some of it's tragic information.
Well, I would imagine, because they're children and they're in the cemetery, which
Right.
is very sad in itself. Do we have images of any of these children?
We have just one, actually. If I may reach over and grab
please.
that.
That'd be great.
It's across
I'll
here.
get it. Oh, Leanne's going to get it.
198 youngsters are buried in the cemetery, and sadly, we have Evelyn. That's it.
That's it. That's the only
That's
photo.
the only photo that we've got of 198 children.
So none of those 198 children have
Well-
have images of, except for, as far as we know, that are in the cemetery.
That's correct, yeah.
Wow.
Look that a little bit. It's
Research up to this point.
There we go.
That's Evelyn. How old was Evelyn?
Yeah, that's a good question. She was about 10, 12,
think so.
13, yeah.
Yeah, she
Wow.
She died in 1942.
Oh my goodness, that's the year my mom was born.
The first death was 1888. For the most part, the burials were from about 1888 to 1945. But interestingly, and they're all children, of course, but interestingly, 50 years after the 1945 burial, 50 years later, 1995, we had the last burial in the cemetery, and that was an 83-year-old man who had been an orphan here at Owatonna for all of his growing up days until he turned 18, and then he eventually left, moved to California, and passed away in California, but was, by the help of a whole lot of folks from Steele County, was brought. His remains were brought here in a beautiful ceremony in 1995. Was buried in the cemetery.
My goodness.
So we have one adult,
One
Frederick
adult.
Burnt,
And he chose that. That was
he
his
chose
his
that.
wish
Yes,
to be
he
buried
wanted to be
in.
buried
Wow.
with the family that he grew up with.
That is just very touching. And who is that gentleman? Can we?
Frederick Burnt.
Frederick
Burnt.
Burnt.
Right, yeah.
Oh, God bless him. So he's there with the children.
Right.
Oh my goodness. What this is such a heavy thought now. I'm like, oh my God. But what a poignant evening. If you've lost a loved one, even. I mean, that's what I'm thinking of is attending and getting a luminary in memory of people that I love and have lost. And
it should be, beautiful evening when it gets to be dark and there's the lights all along the path. And I know Barry will have some candles in the cemetery. We've got the children that he's talking with. We have a woman who was here last year who will be playing the harp outside with the some of the hymns and things that the children sang when they were at the state school. So we'll learn some history, but the main purpose is to remember the children, which is the mission of the Orphanage Museum. It is to continue the memory of the children and what they went through when they were here, and hopefully what the ones that had good lives, but the ones that ended up being buried here too.
To bring this up, but there are children in foster care, orphanage-like settings to this day. Which, let's not forget them. Let's remember, though, right now, exactly the date and time and place that this, and the cost for the luminaries? Is there?
It's $25 for a luminary, but once again, anyone who has interest is invited. There's no charge.
Sure, but this is, if you buy a luminary, this is to support
the Legacy Fund, ongoing work here that we do at the Orphanage Museum.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, and so it is Saturday, September 12th at 6 p.m. And where does it start again? Where do they go?
They can go over by the root cellar, by the gymnasium.
To get there, to sign up, to get
the luminaries. They can do it that evening, or they can go to Cottage 11 in the afternoons, but they can do it that evening at 6. The program itself starts at 7.
Okay.
Cottage 11 and the main museum will also be open.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here, both of you, Anne and Barry. We appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. Do come back and visit us on Friday. We've got LTO season preview, and also we're taking a field trip to St. Mary's for their welcome evening.
And we're going for community announcements.
And stay with us. After word from our sponsors, we'll be back with our community announcements.
Hello, my name is Katie Marshall. A year ago, my family and I became homeless. We were scared and alone. Today, with the help of Steele County Transitional Housing and generous donors like you, my family and I are safely housed. I am working, going to college, paying my rent on time. My children have a warm bed to sleep in every night. My family and I are so grateful for this second chance. Please help others in need by donating to transitional housing today. Everyone deserves a safe place to live.
Welcome to Bremer Bank. I am Jason Iberg.
And I'm Shannon Pedersen.
Bremer is a full financial services bank.
We invite you to stop by Bremer Bank and experience the Bremer difference.
You are always welcome at Bremer.
Welcome back. We're here with your community announcements. Firstly, we would like to welcome back United Way of Steele County as a sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show. Thank you, United Way. They support so many organizations in our community, as you know. Festival of Trees 25th anniversary is Friday, November 20th and Saturday, November 28th at the Owatonna Holiday Inn. That is the fundraiser for Advocates for Developmental Disabilities of Steele County. For more information, call Advocates for Developmental Disabilities at 451-9769. The next evening support group for caregivers assisting people with Alzheimer's or another dementia will be Tuesday, September 1st, 2015 from 6 to 7 p.m. That's tomorrow. The support group is held at the Owatonna Public Library upstairs in the small conference room, adjacent to the Gainey Room. For more information or to RSVP, call Deb Gillard at 507-676-0411. Owatonna Early Edition Rotary Club Corn Feed is tomorrow, Tuesday, September 1st. Free delivery and takeout. If you would like to order for delivery, call 451-7972 or for takeout. Otherwise, you can just show up anytime between 11 and 2, 11 a.m., 2 p.m. at the Owatonna Eagles Club. The Safety Council, Wednesday, September 9th, will tour Cybex. And that is from 11:30 to 12 o'clock. There's a lunch buffet. And then from noon to 1:30 is the tour of Cybex. Lunch is $8. Place is at the Eagles Club. So for more information, contact Steele County Safety Council at hotmail.com. Thank you so much for joining us. Come back on Friday for LTO and a field trip to St. Mary's.